Hey guys, it's Tom Cherryholmes here with IRATA.ONLINE, and I wanted to do another PLATOTerm status update for the Commodore Amiga version of PLATOTerm. I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving, at least in the United States anyway. I certainly did. So, the Amiga version of PLATOTerm has steadily been worked on since the previous update, roughly a week ago. And more of the system has been fleshed out. There's still so much work left to do, though. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go in and take a look at what we have thus far. Again, like in the previous demonstration video, I have a emulated Amiga 500 machine with 512K of chip memory, but I did add 8 megabytes of expansion memory. This will work just fine on a 512K Amiga 500, however. So basically, we're going to go ahead and demonstrate one thing before we actually launch into the program here, and that's that the current version of the software actually uses the preferences that are set up in the preferences program to determine your serial port characteristics. And for best effect, it really does help if you have your buffer size set to a nice large value. Then you can take it up the baud rate like you see right here. Of course, 8 bits here in both the read and write direction, 1 stop bit. No parity is needed, and for best effect, it is highly recommended that you set RTS-CTS handshaking, as well as setting this up in your modem to be able to use it. It's also known as 7-wire handshaking in the Amiga parlance. So with that, we can go ahead and use that. And I also wanted to show you that once the PLATOTerm is ready for release, I will be making 2 versions of the software, one for 1.3 users and one for 2.x and plus users. The 1.3 version will have a workbench disk that is set up with a copy of PLATOTerm on it, ready to go. And actually, I think I want to take and actually stop there. Okay, so you see right here we have PLATOTerm icon. We have some everything that you kind of expect on a workbench disk, and you also have the ability to take and read a copy of the GPL 3.0, as well as a copy of the README, which contains important documentation information on how to use PLATOTerm. But I will take and go over this a bit more as time goes on here. But as you can see, everything you need right here. And I will be cleaning this up before release as well. So as we can see here, I have a preliminary icon for PLATOTerm. I'm going to take and try to do one more drawing pass on it before it's ready, but there we go. I also included a copy of the GPL 3.0 license, since this is licensed under the GNU Public License version 3.0. But for now, we're going to take and go into my development version here, and for that, we're actually going to take and open up the workbench and go into a shell, so I can go onto my workspace here. And actually, yep. Go to PLATOTerm Amiga, go to the build directory, and we have a brand spanking new version of PLATOTerm right here. Now, some things that have changed since the last time that this actually started. You'll notice that the rendering speed, especially for text output, is a lot faster this time around. And that's literally because the Amiga font system is now used for all text output, and you can really see the difference there right off the bat. I do have an Amiga splash screen done and drawn and ready. I just need to tweak it so that it paints correctly on this screen here, as it has some hairpin fills, especially on the boing ball. So once I get that dealt with, I'll take and integrate this in. But for now, we'll go ahead and just show. You'll see here an improvement right here. You see a status display right here showing baud rate, showing data rate, and all the current communication parameters. I'm going to be tweaking this as much as well. Now of note here, you're going to see an entry in the status display that's either going to say TTY or Plato, depending on whether or not you are in TTY mode or in Plato rendering mode. There is also the beginnings of an intuition menu right here. Terminal, which will take and have set various global terminal parameters, an edit window for copying and pasting text to and from the clipboard, as well as copying a screen bitmap, parameters for setting things such as baud rate, and I'll have a display menu for setting display parameters such as display mode, that sort of thing. You know, putting it on the workbench screen, closing the workbench screen to have more memory, that sort of thing. I'm taking great care to make sure that this particular terminal will work on both 1.3 and on 2.x and above. This is absolutely critical, and to that effect, I'm not using GAD tools, not using Boopsy, not using MUI, or any of the Reaction or any of the modern GUI toolkits here in order to take and get this going. So we'll go ahead, like as before, talk to my modem. And as you can see here, the text output speed is much faster. And this is even on a 7 megahertz machine. But you'll also notice something else right here as well. And that's that a simple little tweak actually drastically improved the fill speed by providing a sufficiently large temporary raster and area fill space. Go ahead and log in. You'll also notice that since the last time, color has been implemented. And I mean, as you can see right here, even on a 7 megahertz machine, it's doing quite well. I'll do one more. Now you'll see here that the flood fill here, we're going to try and get the flood fill speed up as much as we possibly can. But you can see right here that the flood fill here uses the blitter and actually does a pretty decent job even at 7 megahertz. Of course, if you have an Amiga 1200 running at 14, or if you have a faster machine, you'll see definite improvements there as well. So with that, you know, everything works as you expected. We can go ahead and go into notes and everything renders quite well. Let's say, for example, let's go to note 59, and yeah, you can see that everything renders quite nicely. I'm going to take and squeeze the font just a little bit so we don't chop the bottom line there. That's coming. And I need to take and implement bold, of course. And you can see that there's some dynamic palette mapping happening here. You can occasionally see the window gadgets here change as time goes on here. Let's go ahead, hit data, come back. But, I mean, even at this stage here, the terminal is actually quite usable. We'll go ahead and go into the notes page here just as an example. Whoops. And actually it looks like the OBS rendering here is slowing it down ever so slightly because it is faster in actual use. I really would appreciate if someone could actually take and test this on actual hardware to get in contact with me to get a test build of this so we can test this on some actual hardware. But I mean, as you can see, coming along just fine. Oop, let me type that name in right. We'll go ahead and launch Airfight here just as a test. Now, custom text fonts are not fully implemented yet, so you are going to see some glitches here, but that's fine. They will be ironed out, as with all the other versions. As you can see, decent performance. and this is at 19,200 bits per second on 7 megahertz. Now, part of the bottleneck here is that the serial interrupts are, of course, running running above all other priority here, so we can definitely see some things happening as things buffer, as things catch up, as the serial interrupts catch up. You'll see the speed improve, that sort of thing. On faster machines, you're not hit so badly by the serial interrupt, and of course, with low resolution screens, this performance actually increases quite a bit as well. So we'll go ahead and stop that right there. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of give a quick update just to show you how far along things we're actually getting here. Still a lot of user interface work to be done, but the terminal is already usable. And if you want to take a look at the code, of course, the code is publicly available, and I will provide a link to that in the video description should you wish to download a copy of it and compile it. With that, I appreciate you guys for stopping by and having a look at what we have so far. It's really starting to come along quite nicely here. So with that, thank you guys for watching.